this. You can go back to this recording, and I mean, it's a fact. He will come out as a GOP candidate, and bar something unusual, again, he will come out as a president of the United States.
They don't.
There's too many, and you can say how you feel however you want, and everybody's do their opinion, but I think that they've done too much to damage this country and push too many people. I like the way that, I'll leave. There's a couple of people that I've been in here in these spaces that have said that I agree with. I'll leave them unnamed, that have mentioned the fact uh, that a lot of people that went into this election to the going into this future election that was in the 2020 election, that were just like, man, I don't know if he can get it done. And the media has spent a wheel. So, I mean, you talking about the best PR campaign of demonizing a person that you've ever seen in our lifetime. And to the point where I think a lot of people are just done with it. I've mentioned many times before, my wife being a long life Democrat her whole life. I don't know if she will vote for Trump, but I guarantee you that she's completely done and so distasted by what the Democratic Party has done. Whether she votes for RFK or she votes for Trump, that's her own decision, and I respect that. But for somebody like that who's a long life Democrat to be completely put off by her party, I can only imagine other people, right? So anyway, that's all I got.
Thanks, Tony. Kat, I believe you're up next.
I can't seem to shut up this morning. Yellow's completely right. They are salivating for us to go tactical. They want that to happen because they can justify the times that Biden stood behind that podium and called MAGA domestic terrorists. Literally, he literally called American citizens domestic terrorists. So that's one thing I 100% agree with. I don't think that it's going to ever. I don't think that it'll really get there. I don't know if people have the intestinal fortitude to do that. People are still going to be worried about their jobs, their mortgages, whatever. But the messaging that they're doing, it does make sense to me. I know, like, rational human beings look at it like, this is insane. How many times they're going to file charges? But see, they're so elitist. They stand behind that podium like Kareem does and blatantly lie to the American people. And they say, listen, little peons, listen, peasants, you will listen to us. We know better than you. Do what we say, not as we do. It's always been that way with the Democrats. It's disgusting. But the problem is a lot of the world is not on Twitter. And I think what we do here in these spaces is amazing. And we have these conversations, and people can hash it out, talk it out. I don't know, get other perspectives. But your regular, not regular, that sounded wrong. Your average people that just don't participate in social media, what they're seeing? The state-run media putting out the headlines: 38 charges, 50 charges, this many charges. I'm not going to vote for that guy. Oh my god, he really is a criminal, because they know no better. They don't see what we see. A lot of the disseminated information that we get on Twitter, and I'm not saying it's all legit. But okay, I'm done being bad black pill. How about this though? My best friend is a card carrying hardcore liberal. Can't pick your best friends. It just happens that way. I was born in California. Her mother is a 1960s absolute militant hippie liberal, walked and protested with the Black Panthers and the whole nine yards. And both of them have walked away from the Democrat Party just based on the headlines, because they realize how ludicrous it is. I've red pilled my best friend to about libertarian, almost independent, and her mom is no longer participating in the Democrat Party. She's not going to vote. That's a win as far as I'm concerned, because that's a vote for Trump. And I'll yield back.
Thanks. Samuel, it's on you, buddy.
Yeah, I just want to suggest that we use ridicule to deal with this. And something that Yellow said earlier is, I want Trump to say more. And anyone who's alive right now and is a talker knows that for the last 15 or so years, there's been a very real attempt to curb speech everywhere in public. I worked in public schools, and whether it was the staff, the admin, or even the students, I saw this rise in, you can't say that, you can't say that. And that's why Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg were, I think, handpicked to launch these investigations, because what happens if you ridicule them? You know what will happen, but we need to just stand up and ridicule them. I think we should ask for her LSAT scores. Like, I want to stand up and be like, is she even qualified to be a lawyer, or did somebody just hand her like a law degree at a university one day? Because look at this indictment. It's jokey.
We need to bring back common sense and bullying. That's my final say. No. Go for it, Magna.
That's a beautiful statement all by itself. Common sense and bullying. Yeah, ridicule is wonderful, and I think Kim is right. I think uh, people on Twitter are more of a caring group, where they kind of either on both sides. They want to fight for what they believe in, and so that's why they're here talking and listening and participating. So, um, the Jeffs, thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it. Would you mind? I will ask your permission first before I would not. I would like to plug the America Mission group that's working on something called hashtag bag bill.
Samuel, I just want to point out that to become a lawyer, you have to take one test, the bar exam. To become an architect, you have to take 10 exams.
Okay.
I don't think
I,
Yellow can hear Magna. I don't think Yellow can hear.
I think Yellow can hear you, Magna. Go ahead.
Hey,
Well, it could
Magna,
be.
just as a heads up, I'm blocked from attending all those spaces, so you can plug it, but I can't attend them. But I hope
Why
everyone
is
else
that?
enjoys them.
Why is that? Is there some?
Because he has an opposing view and they
Oh,
don't understand the opposing view, and his opposing view is of common sense.
And that's why
this is just.
everyone in
I
the
was
town
just
square
okay.
right now
I'll
should
leave it there
repost
then.
the
I'm not gonna.
space.
I won't even say anything about it. But I am
No,
working on it.
actually, go ahead, because I want to be the brand that is inclusive and promotes everyone and doesn't block people.
Yes, sir.
So I actually really want you to promote their stuff live on Rumble right now on the Punchbowl Network,
That's
because
fine. I'm sorry to hear about that. I would like to
I
look
think that
into it
looks
with
better
you.
for my brand. So please, what's American
Yeah,
Mission
that's
got
fine.
going
I
on?
appreciate it, sir. I will certainly. I would like to look into that with you and try to get that resolved, because we are working on something called hashtag bad bills, and as a group, and they've been a wonderful group so far, just organizing and getting these letters out. I am personally using my AI tokens to build um, a website that's using Google Civics to log into databases for people using their home address and their name, home address, and it's cross-referencing and pulling back all the data for their state, local, and national representatives, so that we can choose from some boilerplate text possibly, and send out texts and emails and use all their connection methods to connect to these people and fight these bills. And it's just something called hashtag bad bills. Keep your eyes open for it. We're just trying to bring awareness to these smaller bills. After the Restrict Act, we fought so hard. I was a big proponent for the fighting the Restrict Act for a month or two there. We really worked hard to get that knocked out, and now they're taking that and breaking it down into some smaller bills and making these horrible decisions in Congress. And these people are actually sponsoring this stuff, so we've got to stop. We're trying to stomp it in its infancy. And I just want to let people know there are people out there working hard to do that. So keep your eyes open, participate if you can. And I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Right on, brother. Also, please keep in mind, as you deal with that, a lot of privacy concerns, especially for that data. I'm sure you know what you're doing, but if you do need any help, Ned Fowler in the room is a big IT guy. Make sure you're protecting that data with people's addresses and whatnot. Glad to hear that American Mission is doing that. That's good stuff. Yeah, cool stuff. Also, I think we got a plug this weekend for MAGA Mission as well, so we'll go ahead and plug them also.
Joaquin.
Hey, good morning, guys. Usually I don't come up to speaker that often, but every now and then I have to do it. There is a simple reason why you feeling down is because these Marxist communist fuckers, they spend lots and lots of money on propaganda. And that's an old trend that I follow in my country. I was born and raised, well, a bunch of you knows, I was born and raised in Cuba. And that's what they do. That's why they spend the big bucks. It doesn't matter if it's a lie or truth. They just want to get it out there. And the reason being is to keep your mind entertaining. While you thinking what's going to happen with all this stuff, they're doing something else. Like that bill that the guy wants to bring, to censor us. Like they're trying to work out the Constitution, especially the First Amendment. So sometimes the best way is not to ignore it because you have to keep the eye on the ball. But the best way is keep doing the work that you do. The best defense is the attack. Don't stay on the trenches, waiting for them to throw a punch. You got to punch them back. I'm punching hard. Whatever you go, if you can speak up your mind, do so. Because that's the only way. Truth and information is the only way to stop these people for enslaving us. And what really concerns me right now is a lot of people say, well, the Biden regime. I think Mitch McConnell and the boys over there, and the Rhino boys, they're working really hard for all this shit to happen. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm coming down. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for coming up. Always love to hear from people. Angela, I believe you're up.
Yeah, and it's going to be me to change the subject. Sorry. Who is in charge of the merch website?
There's more than one. The one that's up top is me, though.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to complain about is there's too much that I like and I can't pick.
Hell yeah.
Well done, Angela. I was like over here chewing my fingernails.
I actually grabbed my notebook that's for Punchbowl and clicked the pen open and wrote down merch feedback. I was like, okay, well, you got us good. Thank you. That was wonderful.
You guys
No, there
stress too
really is
much.
some cool stuff. I really am having a hard time picking.
Also, Jeff, that looks great the way you've got that set up on your profile now, man. I'm glad you got that going. It's beautiful.
Also, I feel like Angela has made me realize that the merch store needs some sort of tinfoil yarmulke of some kind of tinfoil hat.
That could be done.
Seems like a great time to go in and plug our merch store and everything. We're only 10 minutes from the top of the hour. All right. Shout out to everyone listening live on Rumble. You may have been like, hey, where'd the Punch Bowl go for 20 minutes or so? Tap for Nerd is still learning stuff, and he does not have an UPS or a uninterruptible power supply on his desk. And he lost power this morning. So that live stream to Rumble and the recording went bye-bye for about 20 minutes before Tap for Nerd realized he was working on laptop power off his screen and looked over to the right and saw that Punch Bowl was no longer live streaming. Oh my gosh, amateur hour. What the heck, Tap for Nerd? Can't you do one of your many jobs at the Punch Bowl right at least? Um, so yeah, we're back up. I'm on Amazon. I'll be buying an uninterruptible power supply today. If you'd like to chip in towards that, you can join my locals for $5 a month, or check this out. I actually want to help people like learn technology and stuff. So there's a good amount of stuff that's going to be free on there. Here's the weird thing. You would have to create an account and go on locals. Ew, yucky, gross. But if you do that, it's free. All right. There's also the punchbowl.space. I built that website. I don't mind saying, like, this isn't some GoDaddy thing where you go out and get a template and you're like, move it around, drag and drop. No, that's code. That's PHP, that's HTML, that's JavaScript. I know how that thing works. I put that together. I tested it with the team. We just added more stuff yesterday. There's other stuff in the works. We got some really cool stuff working. I'm pretty much like a amateur full stack developer now, and podcast producer and network automation engineer. Like I kind of do it all right? So that's the type of stuff I do on my locals. But anyways, check out the punchbowl.space. I'm really proud of it. You can check out the links to the merch store. Also our affiliate fungfu.net, where you can save a little bit of money on 4 different mushrooms out there. All right, so that covers the main stuff. We have a Twitter community. We don't use it that much. We actually use our Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the Punchbowl TM's account, and what that is it's a server out there. It's free. It's a pain in the ass to set up initially. After that pain in the ass of like 1 minute, you get in there, and then after the show, you'll see there's basically a space running, and it's Webmeister and other Punchbowl staff, and we're just talking through the day. Sometimes there's 20 minutes of silence, but sometimes it's just us talking. No one else can listen because it's only Discord listeners. And just talk about life. We'll talk about memes. We were sharing memes for like an hour last night in the comments. So it's just a community thing. I want to be clear. It's not a problem solving session. It's community. So come to the Punch Bowl Discord. It's free. Join over 140 other Punch Bowlians. You weigh in on the conversation for when spaces are a little bit too much and you're tired of hearing about that one person that comes into a Twitter space, or excuse me, X space, and decides that they need to tell everyone about every single conspiracy theory they've ever heard in their life in the next 20 minutes, as if no one was already aware of it. So come to Discord. It's a refuse. It's a respite away from all of that craziness. See anything else to plug? No, not really. Oh, finally, thankful for all the support, the likes, the reposts. Over 14 people have joined my locals. I've got content to put out this week. I'm incredibly thankful for that because it's a pain in the butt to go out and sign up for something new. I hate doing it myself. Incredibly thankful for all the support of the Punch Bowl. Incredibly thankful for the support of, I'm pausing to make sure I get this correct because I've screwed it up before with Chad. Red Voice Media, thank you so much for your support. I still almost screwed it up. I'm telling y'all. Thank you so much.
I was gonna ride through it with you, Tap.
Dude.
Someone help him.
Thank you so
Someone
much
help
for the
Tap.
consistent support. So much for the support. And it's just awesome. And then we're in the afternoon. I think it's 2 o'clock Central today. Chad will be live again today. I don't have all the shows memorized, but I'm trying to make sure I throw the avatar in there. All right, we're coming up on 3 minutes of plugging now. I'm supposed to get it recorded. I know, guys, so it's better. But we haven't recorded yet, so I'm taking the initiative. Shit. Also, shout out to Game Tech this morning.
Thank you for the shout out. So I'm going to say something crazy. I normally do, and a lot of people just roll their eyes and shit. But this time it probably pissed a lot of people off, and I do that too. So I think it was like around the 5th of this month that I get an email of basically kind of like a stack of stuff to look through. I ended up reading an email from a chain of people that work within the federal government, and the basically the subject of this email was to capitalize on wildfires. Now these emails were written like 7/26, 7/27, 7/28. I mean, this chain was probably a week and a half long of emails from a group of individuals.
So you're talking about the Canadian wildfires?
I'm just talking about wildfire. It just says that we need to capitalize on the conversation on climate change and these wildfires. These are all from high level administration people. And so when I got that information, I knew that they have like little hot spots of algorithms in certain regions that our government officials will email their people, get things trending in certain areas. That's how it happens, people. And I know you guys don't believe me, but I don't care. It does happen. That's if you do my job for a day, and you'd be fucking shocked about how things actually take place. So I ended up getting that email last week or a couple weeks ago. I tweeted out something very subliminal. I basically talked about hot spots and poisoning water. Go look it up. Then this Maui thing happens. Now, I know a lot of people think that our government isn't that sinister. We don't have direct energy weapons. We don't have anything that would cause any of this to happen. I understand some of you folks haven't gone into the crazy world like I have, but we do have them. Look it up. Look up tank busters. Our military has this technology to cause fires, to cause metal to melt. We have lasers like that. It's true. So you can't say that we don't. Now, is our government crazy enough to use them against its own people? A lot of you guys would think there's no way in hell that our government is going to send lasers through space. Sounds absolutely insane, right?
Game. I feel like it's your responsibility right now to either say, I believe the government set Maui on fire, or something else. Because notice, like, you've left us now to do the math. You're about to say, I'm just saying, we have the weapons, Maui's on fire. But
Okay.
I feel like you have
All
to
right.
say now, I
Let's do
believe they
this.
did it.
Let's do this. Instead of me saying it, let's see what our government officials have said, okay, about this Maui fire. The governor said it looked like a bomb went off, right? He said it. The chief of police, who, by the way, was the chief of police of Las Vegas, however, coincidences do happen, right? Wink, wink. Um, the chief of police said that this fire was hot enough to melt metal. He said it, not me. He said it. Now, this fire went on how long? Less than a day, right? Less than 24 hours. It wasn't burning for days on end, like a lot of wildfires. This happened very quickly, right? Now, how could temperatures that for a short amount, let's use our brains for a second. How could temperatures get over 1200 degrees Fahrenheit? Because that's what it takes to melt metal. I looked it up. How 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 do temperatures get that hot so quick to sit there and melt? Hold on, because I got a good point to this. To sit there and melt metal, but trees around that area are not even touched.
Okay, have you ever tried to burn wet wood? It's a joke. Have you ever tried to burn your empty beer can in the fire? Not so hard. So we can't exactly go down that route, because if it's aluminum, it's going to melt a lot lower temperature. If it's pewter, if it's lead, it's going to melt a lot lower temperature.
Okay, look.
Have you
I
ever heard of a Roman
understand.
stove?
You guys can believe that this is all natural, and that's fine. I mean, I'll be the crazy one to say that there's something sinister to
I don't
this.
think you're crazy,
Oh,
game.
hold on.
Real quick, I want to chime in and say I support where you're
I
going with
just need
this.
15 more seconds. What I'm saying though is that the response, the quotes, the fact that we have part of the land completely destroyed and the other part of the land that is only 200 yards away from a lot of these other homes were left untouched, and guess what, those were Jeff Bezos and Oprah's properties and everybody else's properties. I'm just saying that, why is it crazy to ask questions that would our government do something like this when they've proven in the past that they have? Pruitt-Igoe, they put radiation powder in the vents of these people's homes. Our government did that, and it's during your guys' lifetime. Not everybody. There's 30, 40-year-old people in here, but anybody that's lived past 50 years old, they've done it in your lifetime. They've killed people on purpose, citizens on purpose, just to study it. And so it's crazy for me to sit there and believe that it is possible, but that these that our government has set the stage for these fires to happen?
Oh, it's definitely not impossible. That's I agree with most of what you're saying. I just
But
didn't want
but
to.
but the
I didn't want to
but the
go with the whole
problem
it
though, the
melted metal.
problem though
You know.
is, but here's the problem though. The problem is that people like me and people who have these thoughts and can see the coordination of everything that's going on, including those emails. When you get people like me questioning it's like, that dude's crazy. That dude has nothing valuable to say whatsoever about this topic. Or a part of you guys want to sit there and ask questions within yourselves, but then you feel guilty because, oh shit, that's crazy. I can't say that out loud. That's way too much. That might hurt my brand. That might hurt my followers. Me, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, and use my military experience and use the knowledge of the past 10 years that I've gotten, and at least allow you guys some sort of information that you guys haven't learned. I've seen this type of these operations on almost a daily basis for 3 years, of my military career 10 years ago. For the last 3 years of my career, I've seen these operations happen. I've seen them with my own eyes. So to to tell me, and I love James, but he's been harping on people that have questions, and I don't. I've been staying away from it because I know that I have way too much respect for an individual to just not even go there. But I should go there. This fire does not make sense, guys. I don't care how you explain it away. If you just look at what they're saying, because there are good people, I will say this, there are good people who are in the know that will allow you to know what's really going on subliminally. Just letting you know.
Gabe, to be fair, you didn't tell us what you think. You didn't make the statement. And nobody in the town square that I know of has tried to explain it. Most of the conversation yesterday, it hasn't come up today, but most of the conversation yesterday was aimed at how could we possibly help? And we spent quite a bit of time wondering, like, how could we help these people who've been affected by the fire versus like what caused it? And you stinker, you kind of didn't just come out and say it, like what you think.
Hey, hold on. I just want to go on record to say that Game is not suicidal.
That's true. I'm gonna die of my own health. But look, there's okay. See, I'm very careful about what I need to say because there's only so many people in these chains that you know. So if you want to do like a so-called quote, I'm doing air quotes, a wildfire, there are chemicals that our government does drop down to do like it's kind of like a what they call hot spots or hot zones, and that's why I use the language in my tweets. Those we have like a I'm not a chemist, and I'm not going to sit there and pretend I'm a scientist, but we have chemicals that you can spread over a field and basically allow those chemicals to heat up and have like a chain reaction, but it's like a quick burn. It's like a very, very quick burn. We've used these in uh, multiple areas in Iraq. Go look at YouTube videos, just military videos, and just watch them for a whole day. You'll see some of this stuff happen. Um, but yesterday I seen a headline, and it was from a guy that I know. I can't say he's a friend because we don't hang out, but I've known him for a long time, and he creates graphics for a major news organization. He does web design and stuff. Um, there was a headline approved that I pointed out, and he's in the know of this shit. He used to work for the NSA. He's in the know of this shit, and he basically said, uh, I'll pull up the headline. Hold on, let me get my email. I can't pull it up quickly. He basically said it was a bomb. He's which I think that he's using the wrong terminology, but he's basically putting the truth out in the little the headline there. And there's a lot of people like that in our media now. A lot, including me. You guys just don't pay attention to me because I say crazy things. But I'm right. I'm always right. That's why I'm pressing this story. The government has something to do with this fire, guys. And I don't care how crazy I sound. I don't. I just don't. And you guys are gonna learn quick about all the little sins that this country has done in the past 20 years, probably quicker than what you think. This is spiritual, and this is what the conversation is among the elite, that it's spiritual. Take it for what you want. I don't care. But I've been telling you guys this for the past 3 months. This UFO stuff has everything to do with everything that's going on right now. It's spiritual. We are living versus good versus evil right now. That's it. It's just good and evil. There's really no gray area. And people are ignoring it. People are trying to just be normal with their thinking and be normal with their daily lives, and that's okay. But when you have the government killing its own citizens for a purpose and for an agenda, it you guys need to be aware of that at least a little bit. Look at the mass shootings. You think that those are organic, really? You think that those just happen just because crazy people grab a gun and go off and kill people? Yeah, that does happen sometimes. But MK Ultra happens. All of this psyops, all of this stuff that's going on, all of these distractions are all a part of, and I'm not talking about Q, because Q is a bullshit psyops, but it is a part of a grander scale, and it's not our plan, it's actually God's plan. I just wanted to put that out there. God's plan is coming into fruition, and we need to really look at what's really important, and that's your own salvation. That's all I have to say, guys, for today. I appreciate you letting me, rant for a little bit, but just ask questions. Asking questions, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you get people that want to harass you for asking questions, then maybe you're asking the right ones. You guys have a good day.
Hey, Jeff, can I have a 30-second response to Game real quick?
I'm still here.
I didn't want to assume. I just read this morning. Oh, now I'm going to see if I can find it again. I may have lost it.
While she's looking, Tony, jump in. Daffy, you guys have had your hands up forever.
I would love to, if it's okay. I'm afraid there's a lot more that we don't know about, and I'm not talking conspiracy theory. I think that this fire has killed 1,000 kids or more that they haven't let on. I think that's why they're afraid. They're afraid that we're going to all have a fit because, or we're all going to stand up. It's going to be a war because all these kids have been, the school was canceled that day, and then they didn't have enough time to get their kids out of there. I think there's a lot more coming out that I'm scared. I'm so sad. I think it's going to bust. And that's all I have to say. I'm sorry, but I've done some research and it's pretty scary what's coming out.
Tony?
Yeah, no, all I was gonna say, game. Been in a lot of conversations with me. Always appreciate you, man. You always got a against the grain take, and then sometimes with the grain take. But I always appreciate conversations with you. I will say that going with some of what you were saying is that regardless if you feel that the wildfires, especially in Hawaii, was from a down power line, or if you feel one way or the other. If you don't look at things,
This is what I believe. Just for people who want to listen, like for clarification, I believe they used a chemical substance and they spread it on the ground. Um, the morning of that fire, I believe that actually happened.
well, what I will to emphasize what you just said, if you're not able to look into it like you do, game, with a lot of the things that we've talked about over the past 6 months that I've known you, you're very mistaken to not look into that. The things that I will say is, if you look into, and I'll just give a couple instances for I'll give a few instances with that, and whether you're talking about sports with concussions, or you're talking about Katrina with the hurricane. I'm going off the dome here, but you look at a lot of different instances where the government or the state or some of the places would call you crazy, call you nuts for thinking that there was uh, uh, something wrong or something negligent or in different aspects, and then come to find out, and it may come out, like you said, game, 6 months from now or a year from now, that, oh, there was some foul play into it. You're damn right, there's a lot of instances of that. And I sometimes I sit back and I remember hearing all the reports of Katrina and hearing of the the sleight of hand, a lot of, because I'm in construction, the sleight of hand that they did during repairing some of those, uh, trying to make those walls better, and then going, nah, we're not going to put money into it. But then in paper they said, no, the walls are strong, the dams are strong. And then, obviously, for those that were around at that time, see what had happened. And then that goes into what I said earlier about the concussion protocol in the NFL, and sleight of hand, going about things differently. And those are totally two different instances than what we're talking about now, but it's all the same, right? They're going about things knowing that they can, with the sleight of hand, knowing that they can cut corners and know they can go about things wrong. I mean, you look at uh, uh, the Horizon event on the oil rig, talking about a lot of the safety protocols, about uh, and for those that don't know, the BP oil rig spill. And I know that a lot of these things are a lot different than what we're talking about with wildfires, but they're all the same, interconnected, right? Things that could have been done right, could have been done in a proper way, and people going about them or purposefully doing them wrong. And of course, people's lives, thousands of people's lives changed, from those events. But anyway, always appreciate you, game.
Thank you, Tony. And if anyone goes to Hawaii or lives in Hawaii and can get on the island and go into the restricted areas, because now the whole area is restricted where no one can go into that area. If you guys can go in that area and take soil samples and then take soil samples of the places where they're not burned, that's all you need to know.
Hey, real quick, Angela, did you find your information?
Yes, I posted it in the Purple Bubble. It's a book that was published less than a week after the fire, talking about the fire and climate change. There you go.
Yeah, AI can do some pretty amazing things. Like, no shit. They could have wrote that book in 30 minutes.
Morning, Chad.
Good morning. So I walk in here and I hear thousands of kids are burned up and that they systematically have diluted or deluged certain aspects of Maui. I am a firefighter. I was a smoke jumper. People are saying fire doesn't walk across the road. I would really like to know, and I hope that this causes a lot of people to actually fucking learn something about what fire does. Fire can actually build its entire own environment. It can change weather patterns. What happened on Maui, per James R. of Pirate Radio, who's been all over this, there are a whole lot of reasons why this happened the way it did. This is where I get really disgusted, but at the same time get it. We have turned into a community that do your research. Sometimes bad shit happens. And what, having been in one of South Carolina and North Carolina's largest wildfire 8 years ago, that almost took a quarter of South Carolina, and having jumped in the middle of California wildfires, I'm just trying to give some perspective before we all start thinking the fucking boogeyman and the lizard people are lighting shit on fire so they can build bigger mansions. I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm not saying any of it. But at the end of the day, if I was sitting in the middle of Maui and I start hearing about lizards and shit and lasers and all of this shit, it just doesn't feel good. And that came out of the words of James R., who is a pirate radio, who lives in Hawaii, is a huge part of his community in Hawaii on most islands. And he actually said, we don't need anything right now. We are aloha, or whatever the fuck they said, but we are gathering and taking care of Maui. He has put up multiple statements and videos saying the bullshit coming out of the Q, Anon, and researchers that are trying to say what's going on. I've got Punisher out there making a post every 5 minutes. If you don't believe this, you're a fucking retard. Well, that's a good way to bring people into your thought process, and it's usually a psychological way of saying,
Wait,
don't
whoa.
challenge
Did you say Punisher? He's still alive?
it. Yeah,
His heart
exactly.
didn't give out yet?
Yeah, he's still posting, or maybe it's the government. I don't know. But my point here to this is that when it comes to something tragic, there's a whole lot of people making a whole lot of assumptions about things. I saw a video and they said some guy was saying that this is absolutely some type of ground laser on how fire walked across asphalt. No, that's what it does. And with 80-mile-an-hour winds and any type of flammable, that shit will burn through a house before it'll burn through a tree. Why? Because trees are a lot more dense and it moves at a low level when you have a high pressure. So the fire stays low, but stays low on what it's burning. Fire is just like a tornado. A tornado can go through a whole house and leave one house standing. It just depends on how the wind's moving at that time. And plus it came over the east side of the mountains, which made it kind of go over like a spoiler. So the winds were going over and it went over these hills and made it even faster on the way down and then would swirl around. There's a whole lot of meteorology that goes into this. There's a whole lot of how fire reacts and fire behavior. And it's the perfect storm, just like Katrina. Katrina got hit in the face like no other ever has been before.
But Katrina didn't pick and choose which houses to flood.
If I need to start dropping California pictures of when they hit Malibu, which I was at, I can show you houses standing across the street, and the whole mansion across the street was burnt to the ground, to the point where the car was just like these cars. You have to understand the science behind the fire. Fire is not just something you put your hands on. Fire can do some crazy shit. And if you ever really want to know, researchers, go out there and research inside wildfires in California. The reason those are so scary is because sometimes you got some big ass trees. And then you have those barrincas that they go down and they swirl into like a washing machine. And it makes it even faster and faster. And the more air and the faster you put the air on something, the hotter it is and how long it's sustained. You can cut concrete with fire.
Why isn't our leaders saying this type of information? Why isn't the governor of Hawaii and the police of chief, like the chief of police down there, why aren't they saying the same type of format that you're relaying? Because see, people need to hear that more than, "Well, it looks like a bomb went off, or it looks like, this fire was hot enough to melt metal. Why not put a scientific approach on this?
Well, my question is, because the last thing I heard from the governor is that he was talking about uh, this is due to climate change, right? So that's their narrative. Why are we? It amazes me when we actually put out the truth comparative to what people think, and then the first thing they go to is, well, why is the government telling us? Well, the government's full of shit in everything they do. Climate change is their narrative. That's what's important.
See, that's where I'm kind of confused. You sound perfect in the way you're describing things. So, and kudos, seriously, and I'm not being facetious here. You sound like that's what we need to hear. However, we're not hearing that from the people who live in Hawaii, other than James and a select few. The majority of the things, and you can look. I mean, it's everywhere. Even a reporter, even a journalist. If you don't want to, let's ignore the researchers like me, or ignore the crazy guys like me.
Let me
Let's
answer your
just
question
look at
because
a
I think I know, Katie.
journalist. Let's hear what a journalist that is a reporter in the media in Hawaii. Listen to what she says. I
Now,
mean, there's so many people, including the governor of Hawaii, including the chief of police, including journalists. We have Nick going over there today. So we will, and trust me, he'll get to the bottom of it.
He
He'll
no,
didn't
Nick's
get
actually
to
ordered my
the
butt. I
bottom
talked to
of
him
the
last night.
Palestine derailment game, to your point, and the governor's comment about the bomb describes what it looks like after the fire, right? He says it looks like a bomb went off to describe the damage. He's not saying a bomb set the fire, right? Like, and again, I'm saying you're being a stinker because you have yet to make a statement. Like, you're sort of just, you just keep.
I ask questions,
And I'll be more than
which
happy to answer questions that I can in my purview, that of having a bachelor's degree in fire science. And that's where a lot of, if you go look at firefighters, they're talking about the exact same thing I am. See, people don't understand the what fire can do and what we have studied in our industry, which is overtly small. Nobody's tried to become understand how the fire behavior works, because it's not in your world. It's in my world to keep me and my crew alive when I'm a firefighter or a smoke jumper. And the idea between a house fire and that of a wildfire are completely different. There was a movie that showed 9 smoke jumpers getting killed. They actually talk about the things that happened in Maui. They actually talk about the science that makes this what it is. You can actually see on the hills where it looked like the hills were just glitter of fire. That's because there's sustained winds of over 45 miles an hour. Because I can say that based off of the fuel that it was burning and what it looked like. Because we have to know that in fighting wildfires. We have to know where sustained winds are, where are they blocked, where are there places for us to get into our when we're getting overran, which I've been in one run before and had to get in the baked potato, where we get in a thing that and the fire goes over us. Fire turns into weather, especially a wildfire like this, and the winds that were sustained. When you see rain go sideways, what's propelling it sideways? Wind. When you could see rain and anything weird that rain or hail or any of that, it does weird shit. Think about that, but in fire. Fire does the exact
One more
same thing.
question for you, Chris. If
I'm Chad.
if let's say there's going to be multiple more fires in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and let's say that's multiple, would you question that?
No, because most of our, especially the West Coast right now, is in major droughts. I can I can go out here to the beach right now and throw a rock and say, I'm going to throw 3 rocks. 2 of them are going to hit sluts. I'm probably going to hit 2 sluts. But I don't know that for sure. But I know what's going on at the beach here in Myrtle Beach. So my point to that is that to say that there's going to be more wildfires, bro, do you know how many wildfires are in California and Hawaii are normally? They're not. The idea of a wildfire doesn't mean it takes out a whole island. But the idea of drought, humidity, weather, you're in a perfect storm. That's why it's called a perfect storm.
I get it. I understand there's going to be a lot of people that's going to really be confused and not know what to believe. And that's the government's fault when it comes down to it.
I agree.
But I'm on the side of caution because usually I'm on Rahm Emanuel's way of thinking. Don't ever let a tragedy go wasted, whatever he said. I'm more of the type to believe that our government right now needs more control than any other point of them trying to get control, and they're going to use any crisis available to garner that control. And even if they have to create the crisis themselves, like we're watching with Donald Trump, they're going to use that. They're going to do it. It's just like with these massive shootings. The very first time a massive shooting happens, guess what? Within hours, we have these politicians talking about gun control and how they can grab more control out of the Second Amendment. The same thing with these wildfires that are happening at more of a frequent rate. If people think that the government has no hand in that at all, ever, that's fine. But good luck with trying to change their minds when it comes to global warming and this climate control that they're after, because that's
So what's their
exactly what
end game in Maui?
The conversation's going to navigate that way this week within the media. So
Okay.
if
What's
you
the
guys
end
think
game
that
in
the
Maui?
government has nothing to do with any of these fires or with any of these massive shootings or with putting radiation powder in the vents of unknowingly civilians,
Holy shit, game. Stick
you
to
go
like
right
1 or
ahead.
2 unevidenced claims a morning. Let's stick to the space
Actually,
lasers.
let's stop stepping on the ladies for just 1 minute and let them get in, and then we can circle right back.
You're gonna let the women talk?
Of course.
Daffy.
Yeah, it's time for a little more logic. Just kidding. Hey, I just wanted to say I wasn't trying to push any narrative. I was just concerned about the kids. What I think they're worried about the revolt is because there was no power shut off, there was no alarm set to let people know, no tornado alarm or hurricane alarm. I'm not trying to push a narrative. I just wanted to throw that out there because right now it's just hard to push anything. And I live in the Pacific Northwest, and right now there are fires in every state around me. It's a tinderbox. So I totally understand what
There's a
he's saying.
wildfire in Lane County where I live right now.
The only thing I push back on, Daphne, is that to make you said I'm worried about the 1,000 kids because they didn't have school that day, and that there is a lot more children that have been dead. We haven't
Right.
told that.
Yeah. And I'll stand by that because I've done research and I've done my own research, and what I see on there are people worried about their kids, and all these kids are
What?
missing. And I mean, it goes to say, and I watched a press release from the firefighter
What?
at the scene, and he said that they're ashes right now because the fire was so hot.
That's not even close. Even the hottest, you're not going to bring people to total ash unless it has a sustained cooking rate. Even when you get ashes from people, you are going to have bone fragments. And it takes the fire that actually makes ashes out of dead people. That isn't in 5 minutes. It takes quite a ways. You can see that this was a quick, sustained, very hot burn. This was not.
Can I say that the firefighter or the fire chief that was on the TV that was given the press release said, if you guys go in there and you walk around, you're stepping on ashes. Ashes are people. I mean, I literally heard him say this.
You heard him say ashes. When shit burns, it all becomes an ash. What are you talking about?
He's
She's
saying
talking
that
about
And you're literally walking
there's
on
a
the ashes of
firefighter
people.
that was on TV that basically said that these people were liquefied.
Yes, in those
It's out
cars.
there. That's the crazy part about this,
But she
Chris.
said there's thousands of kids that are dead. That's not what the firemen said. There are people dead.
they're
People fucking
missing.
died. Yeah.
They're missing. Just I'm thinking over time we'll find this out. I mean, that's
That's not what
why
you
I think
said,
they're
though.
trying. I
That's not what you said.
can can I? Okay, well maybe I said it wrong.
But see,
I'm
we
trying
all
to
keep saying
explain
shit
myself.
wrong,
Okay,
and
you
it
know
makes
what?
fear
One
and
of the
anxiety.
firefighters did
This is what I'm
state.
talking about. We don't
This
get
is
to just say what the
ridiculous.
fuck we want.
Well, I'll pull it up. Hold on. I'll grab it.
It doesn't make so I misspoke. Well, the more people misspeak, the more of a problem we have. That's all I'm trying to say. Why can't we actually find out what's going on before we put out a bunch of bullshit that brings more anxiety on a country that trusts not our government, doesn't trust our medical, doesn't trust our police? We are at the point now where everybody is sitting in their house, bowed up with a bunch of guns and shit, and it causes more problems. I am sick and tired of people going out there and armchair quarterbacking everything and turning into fucking CNN with no source or understanding. How about we start being right to people? How about we start trying to figure it out through time?
How
We're
about
not
we
going to find
find a
out
way to
anything in
actually get
72
the truth?
hours. You
We're
just
not
said
getting the truth
thousands of
half the
children are
time.
dead.
Prove me wrong.
No, Daffy, you have to prove you right. That's his point. Like, don't come out in public and just start spouting stuff that you can't evidence. And especially if you're talking 126 people, you don't want to misspeak. You want to be real careful.
Margot?
Hey, y'all. Hey, first of all, Chad, I want to say thank you for your service and also for helping Western North Carolina, which is where I live. And I was here when those fires went off, and those fire jumpers were at the Starbucks in our Ingalls, and I paid for their coffees and their lunches because they gave to come to this area. But one of the things I saw personally, because I live here, is that fire jumped the river. Like, how do you do that? And it went right over on the bank into the road and across the road and over the mountain. We were burning from Gatlinburg all the way through Western North Carolina and down to South Carolina. It was the scariest thing I have ever seen. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you have no idea how scared we were over here in Murphy, North Carolina. It was really a scary time. And I'm saying that with emotion because we lived it. But also, I came from, believe it or not, Hawaii to home. This is home for me. North Carolina is, but I lived in Hawaii for 10 years. And I was there when Hurricane Iniki went off, and I was a disaster recovery specialist for the Red Cross. And here's what I would ask of you: there are families literally searching everywhere for any piece of information they can find out about their loved ones right now. And every time you speculate and not know something, you either give them hope or you detract from it. And they don't deserve that. I worked all over the Big Island. I worked in Maui and Kauai. Kauai was horrifying. It was literally, it was like a war zone. It was terrible. And then I went to Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines and helped all of the evacuations out there. And all I have to tell you, and I mean this sincerely, Families all over the globe were looking for their loved ones. They were looking for hope. And every time we speak and we don't know the facts, you are contributing to either their hope or their dismay. And I just would ask that you not do that if you can. It's not that you don't want to know. Everybody wants to know. I will say one thing about the thing that went on in Maui that really concerned me is when I lived there, this is in the 90s, those sirens went off all the time, all the time. That is concerning to me that the lack of sirens taking place all over for testing, which they do once a month. And to listen, we had a tsunami alert when there was actually literally 3-inch wave that came in from Japan. But those tsunami sirens were going off every hour trying to get us to specific locations. So there's a problem there that I see needs to be resolved. But that has nothing to do with the tragedy of what the people are going through. And that's all I want to say. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks, Margot. Reagan?
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me up. Thanks for giving me a mic. It's real sad. My heart breaks for the people in Maui, and I hope that they can all get through this. Obviously, it's a total tragedy. I've been there, been to that city, and I just can't believe the whole town burned down. But with that being said, I don't have the answers. But after the past 3 years, I appreciate this room because I question everything now. And I think that we have the right and even the obligation to do what we're doing, which is talk about what may be happening and question some of it, speak out loud about it. I think it's very important. But if we assume that it didn't happen on purpose, if we assume, like what Chad's saying, that fires happen and so forth, and it was a disaster, and what came, then the questions I would ask is, who's accountable? Because to me, when I think about it, who manages the forest there? Who made the building codes and approved the materials that these houses were built with? Who controls the water? As far as I know, it was shut off while they were trying to fight these fires. Who controls the power lines and the maintenance around them? Who deals with all the different preparations with the emergencies that do occur? Who trains the firefighters? Uh, who controls those alarms that didn't go off? Aren't we all of the opinion that they do weather modification? So who's doing the weather modification, and what impact does that have on the land there prior to these fires? These are questions that nobody seems to be asking, and I find it bothersome that if it wasn't done on purpose, there was complete mismanagement and incompetence on the part of the people that are supposed to be in charge. So
on
at the very
every
least,
scale.
there's that. So I'd like to see people start pushing back at these departments, because either they fucked up or they know what happened. So you put them in the hot seat, and maybe they'll point the finger at the real culprit. So I don't have the answers, but
Yeah,
I
but
appreciate the room.
so many of those things happening. Isn't that questionable as well? All of those things happening all at once. No alarms, no water.
No,
A
because it's not
fire
all
that
true. The
they
water
said
wasn't
was
turned
going to
off.
be
There
put
was.
out earlier
That's
that
not
day that wasn't.
true.
Well, why are there people
See, we need to
reporting?
know
Hey,
what's true and what's not.
Chad, why are there people reporting that they had hoses running and firemen working near them, spraying water, and then all of the water just stopped? Are these false claims?
So they're not actually. They're and I know the exact claims you're talking about. The firefighters never lost water. The people did with their with their little hoses, because the entire system in those fire engines is to take 1,000 gallons a minute and run it through that truck's pump. They take everything else. If I turn off my fire truck and take the handle and shut off my water really fast, I can blow up your toilet. That's how that works. The minute that somebody takes a shower in your house and your water pressure goes down because they're taking a shower, and then you put a pumper that shoots 1,000 gallons a minute through a pump, yeah, your hose isn't going to work no more. I saw the exact same thing, and I've already read the after action reports of the firefighters that were on the ground. They were putting 5-inch hose into these fire hydrants, and they would have 15 units. At the end of the day, Most neighborhoods can handle maybe 4 trucks. That's 4,000 gallons per minute. And then they're loading up these areas. They were overriding. I saw the people said the water got turned off. The water didn't get turned off. You had fire trucks pumping as much water as possible.
So Chad, I can back you up on that. I had a well drilled a few weeks ago, and we have a standpipe on that well, and we pressurized the well yesterday, and we hooked up a little sprinkler to the filter on a regular lawn hose, and we were running the well just to try and clear it out. I opened the standpipe and the sprinkler went off because the 60 gallons per minute, the 60 psi was shooting out of the standpipe and the sprinkler lost pressure. That's just a simple explanation. But I just want to jump in here, guys. Sorry, I got to run. I got to go look at that truck. But the Earth is a violent and destructive planet. And those of you who know me know that I'm not a religious person. I don't even believe in God. You probably think I'm a liberal, but no, I'm just an atheist searching for answers. And I study culture and I study history as an architect. And I study the history. I don't just study the history of architecture. I study the history of the cultures. And if you look at the history of culture and religion, it's always a reaction to the earth. The Romans would sacrifice birds to prevent these natural disasters from happening. So, of course, the government is going to, and this is where I agree with Gain, the government is going to exploit these tragedies to create whatever narrative it is, whether it's religious or political, and then use it to their advantage to control the people. That's what religion is. It's trying to explain the earth and the forces, these great destructive forces. And if you believe your God created it, then that's fine. I respect that. But that's all it is. It's a destructive and violent planet, and it's constantly changing. It's a living, breathing fucking entity.
Yellow. Let me jump in. Reagan, I think it's the second post, or see, it's the third post. You can go back and listen to James R. He's part of Hawaii.
Oh, I was in his space yesterday. I was listening to him. Yeah, I mean,
right. I was just telling Reagan, but
I've
listen,
watched fires jump highways.
Well, so there's reports that there was a utility pole, okay, that snapped off, and then that created the fire potentially, right? But if you think about it, if the winds were that strong and they were breaking utility poles, there's already systems in place where it's called a recloser, and electricity went out. So you're not hearing anything about the electric portion of it. If, say, for instance, as Chad's saying, the trucks will take the pressure away from the we'll just say that in each individual house. What if there was a pump also connected to electric? So I mean, it's all around.
Sure. Right.
No one's saying nothing about the electric piece of it. If the electricity went out, then I'm saying it was also connected to the alarms. So I mean, that's just me listening and standing back and listening to all
Yeah,
of it.
hey brother, I appreciate what you're saying, but let me ask you this. If you controlled the island and you wanted to keep the people safe and your systems for safety were running on electricity, would you not consider putting a battery on these devices as a backup? I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of people's lives.
Yeah, but well, if a generator burns, there's no hope. I work in IT. When we set up serving wire centers or wireless towers, and we put generators on them, if there's a fire, you're screwed. If it burns the generator, what are you going to do?
Look, I'm all about asking questions, but that's not what I heard when I walked in here. I heard thousands of kids were dead. I heard very specific things. My pushback is you don't say shit unless you know. And as Miss Margot said, having dealt with different disasters my entire life as a Navy CB and a firefighter, I'm telling you that you're not helping anything. You're just making yourself feel better. And that's what I see in a lot of people that are doing their research and saying, look at me, maybe it's clicks, maybe it's not. I know a lot of people are looking for the truth. I'm all about that. Look for the truth. And I'm even open-minded to it. I keep saying, I don't want to talk about it. Tell me what caliber I need for the lizard people. That's all I need to know. I don't want to talk about it anymore. but I do want to talk about how I save my country. I do want to talk about how we can keep each other safe. I do want to talk about how we can get some semblance of understanding of this new world order. I'm okay with all of that. But when I hear people say, this happened and you're full of shit, I can't deal with it. And when you're taking away hope, you're taking away the anxiety of people. You're affecting people emotionally. And the thing is, it's amazing because our government and everybody else has done so much for us to not trust them that we'll trust people that are sitting in their living room with a Sears and Roebuck, tire changing shirt on, giving intel. He isn't giving you intel. He's full of shit, especially the ones that won't show their face.
Well,
This is where
oh,
I'm
hold
really
on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
Game,
hold
I'm not done. I'll
on.
get with you in a minute. But
Yeah,
at the end of
this
the
is
day, if you
directed
can't
towards
put the
me though,
fact to
and
where it is instead of the hyperbole, especially when it comes to the death of people in a tragic situation, you're only hurting everybody. And I really
okay,
don't care if you
so
do,
so
but
my
hurting
reporting,
people sucks.
my reporting in the past 3 months has been impeccable. I'm the one who called the UFO whistleblower story in its entirety. I've went down the list of things that News Nation was going to give you, and it was absolutely insanely perfect. I also called the Trump raid in Mar-a-Lago on July 17th of 2022. The raid happened in August 18th. I also told you that Tucker Carlson was going to come out with a JFK story before it happened. Guess what? In September of 2022, Tucker Carlson did a segment on the JFK assassination. Everything that I have covered, everything. There's not one thing in my reporting in the past 3 years that I have covered that has not came out into fruition. The only one that has not came out into fruition is the Ghislaine Maxwell release, which I covered in November of 2021. If you guys want to check that podcast out, Maxwell Pandemic, which now the mainstream media is finally covering word for word of what I reported 2 years ago. So don't tell me that my sources and me sitting in my living room doing work is not meaningful, because it is. Because
Do you have a Sears and Roebuck
taken
shirt? Did I
the
say
due
game? Did I
diligence. I've
say anything
taken the
about
due
you? As a matter of fact, I
diligence.
backed you on stuff.
I'm
So
going
stop
to
making it about
continue
you,
talking.
game.
I've
Take
taken
what
the
you
due
can out of it.
diligence of taking and getting sources, contacting people
You made
within
it about
DC,
you. That's sad.
contacting people within the intelligence community, and my sources have been absolutely impeccable as well. So to sit there and demean a person who does their due diligence in taking and getting stories before it happens, and then commenting that there's some funny shit going on in Hawaii. Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Even though I've taken and been ridiculed mainly by conservatives, especially over the Mar-a-Lago raid, which people were telling me that I was, everybody's got sources. It fucking happened. And then I get apologies later on, like, "Oh, Game, you're so awesome. You're incredible, and my bad for ridiculing you last month over
You
that
know what's
raid
great is you're
bullshit."
never going to get an apology from me because I've never said your name.
I
I've never
know,
came
but
at you.
it's
I said there's a
definitely
no. I know,
look,
but
man.
I know, but
I'm not
isn't
going
going to
I'm
be a
not
thing
going to
because you
beat
just
around the
said that
bush on
I
this stuff.
defamed you in
Here's
saying
the
so.
thing:
You're
is
full of
that I've
shit. I
been
didn't say a
literally
goddamn word about you.
I've
Stick
been
to the
trying
facts and
to
you'll be
get
okay.
stories
And game,
out
I've
for a
actually
long
backed you
time,
before.
and the fact is that the
Just keep talking. Just keep
people.
talking. Why you mad?
Yeah, and you're just
Because you're
showing
making it
yourself,
about
man.
you. I never said a damn thing about you. You're making it about
But there's a
you.
lot that I'm telling
You're
you, man.
making it about you.
Okay,
Why?
gentlemen. All right. There
Why
is
are you
still
making it
ladies
about you?
waiting for quite some time. Doing it again.
Here's the thing: there's a lot of these social media
Game.
influencers who do not like what I put out there, and maybe
No, Gabe, let the hands talk, please, God. You see them. We all see them.
say again.
The hands. Let the hands talk.
Yeah, but when people
Yeah,
ridicule
but I would like
others
to
of
talk
doing
sometime today.
stories and they actually have some
Game.
credence
Jesus
Chat,
behind
go
Christ,
it,
ahead.
Chad,
Laurel.
just stomp
of
over it.
course I'm going to
Just
come
stomp
out and
over it.
defend that shit.
Game. Hey, are you done giving us your resume? Look it. He didn't say you specifically, okay? Ease up a little bit. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to give you here's my resume. I'm 15-year retired deputy. Second, I lived through the Tubbs fire. Remember that? October 2017. The pictures you're seeing out of Maui, same stuff. Looks like a fucking war zone. Pardon my French. You know what? We also watched it jump from neighborhood to neighborhood. Nobody's saying don't question it. Nobody's saying that. Chad did not specifically say you. We're saying, and I'm backing Chad on this 1000%. If you're going to question, if you're going to put something out there, please, God, do it responsibly. Do it if you have facts, because it is hurting us as a whole, as a people. I'm just saying, ease up a
Okay,
little bit.
okay, Kat,
Nobody's.
I get
I'm not
that.
like after you at all.
I get
I'm not
that. Okay,
saying you're
so
not legit.
we need to take and start questioning everything, correct? Well,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
when I
But like, I'm not done
Game,
when
talking.
let
I
her finish.
That's
question, just
okay.
let me finish this point because this is
Let
very
her.
important. When
Yep,
I
she was
question
on.
that
Dude,
She was
she's the
on
64
one
topic,
members,
talking,
Game.
not
Let her
you. Let
finish
her
her
finish,
point.
bro.
when I question that 64 members of that Trump hired.
Dude,
Let her finish her point.
seriously.
Wow. It's like, listen, I got respect for what you do. Just do it responsibly. Nobody's questioning that. And again, I'm not asking for your resume. We all get it. But like, if you want to be taken seriously, quit walking all over people. All right, quit talking over us, and I'll do the same for you. So, anyways, I'm gonna land my plane there, guys. I can't even remember the rest of what I was gonna say. Oh wait, one plug, real quick. Shell Shock's going to be on Friday night instead of Thursday night. We had to change to accommodate our guest. It's going to be Amanda Milas. She is the creator, producer, director of The Plot Against the President. Should be amazing. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time. Catch Chad today at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time. Shell will be his host on Spaces. That's my plug. Thanks for letting me talk. I'll land my plane there.
Look, I've questioned for a long time the fact that Trump hired 64 members of the CFR group. I get ridiculed for that. And you know what people tell me? They speculate. They're the ones who's given answers that they don't know what the answers truly are. So there's hypocrisy going on there. They say, well, he had 4,000 appointments and, you have to play politics. Well, let him answer the question. Because what you're doing is speculating. What you're doing is not telling the truth. But yet, when I do it, when I sit there and speculate and ask questions about the Hawaii situation, why is it that metal is basically melting? Why does it look like a war zone in one half of the island, and the other half is basically left untouched? When I ask questions like that, I'm a part of the problem because I don't have the actual answers. But when I ask questions about Trump, you guys have all the answers in the world, but yet you really don't.
Game. For one, you asked every goddamn question you could think of, and people just get offered the idea that there's no answers to your questions, and you're just asking these really speculative questions, and then you've continued to ask them for hours while people wait to talk. Please, God, Ben, say something.
So I can't remember who was speaking before, but I would like a map to the location of these sluts on the beach you speak of. My DMs are open. You can go ahead and get down to works.
It's called the Grand Strand, Myrtle Beach. You just have to walk around with a gold chain.
Perfect. That's only 45 minutes away from me. I read this article too. It said that a lot of the land surrounding this area, I guess, had previously been used for agriculture. That ceased, and now it was pretty much just inundated with like some kind of crazy invasive grass species, which was like highly flammable. But I guess too, if anyone's ever been in a campfire, you can see how ambers will travel in light winds, let alone hurricane force winds. Our government has killed its citizens. It has experimented on its citizens, and I don't think that will stop. So, there's of course a lot of different perspectives, I guess, but to put something else in perspective in terms of response and preparedness, Hawaii is pretty much led by Democrats, right? So, I mean, I think that could also explain some things as to why something may not have been functioning properly or working the right way or whatever. But yeah, appreciate it. And on my way to go see these slutty beach girls. Thanks, guys.
Marco?
So that area of Lahaina and over in that area where it was burnt very badly is all touristy. It's all touristy. And it's all walk along. All you do is walk from shop to shop to shop to shop. That isn't like, there are some agricultural areas out away from there, but the area specifically where the most of the tragedy took place is the most commercialized area of Maui. It is where everybody goes to buy their crazy shirts or to go sit at Mick Fleetwood's, restaurant. So that's one thing. I don't know about the invasive species that in Hawaii. I do know in where I live, kudzu came here as an invasive species, and it's very likely that you're correct about that. I do want to take everybody back a minute, and I'm sorry I'm doing this, but it needs to be done. And I really don't know you, Game. I don't know how old you are. I don't know your demographic, your politics, and I really don't care. But I will say this.
Well, you did hear my resume.
Well, I certainly did. Good for you. I'm proud of you. I'm sure your mom is too. But listen, when my sister was in 9/11 as an Air Force officer, all of her friends were at the Pentagon. Do you remember that feeling where everybody was waiting to find out who was alive and who wasn't? Were the children safe? All that. That's exactly how those people in Maui feel. They're waiting to find out any grasp of information, but it's a little bigger than that because Maui is a centralized area where tourists from around the world go. And it's a matter of like, can you imagine being in Australia waiting for word, or being in, South Africa, going on your first vacation to Maui and waiting for word, or Japan? Please, I'm just asking y'all, be a little sensitive. I don't care if you have conspiracy theories, that's fine. But be sensitive to the people that you're talking about, because there are families literally going from room to room on this app looking for information from anybody they can get it from. And I just go back to the days where my sister would call me and say, my best friend was at the Pentagon and we can't find her. It literally took them 8 days to find her because there's communication problems. They're not letting people in and out. Same thing. Not the same type of event, but the same emotional tragedy for the people involved. And Game, I mean, literally, thank you for all you do, even if you are a little arrogant. And I'm thankful that you do ask questions. But some of the questions that you ask, I agree with you. Crises create opportunities for Democrats. I agree with a lot of people on the stage. I've lived there. I know how those firefighters are all locals. That doesn't mean they don't train for their job. That doesn't mean that they're not trying their hardest. It doesn't mean that there aren't issues. We all have seen them in different tragedies. Just be respectful, please. That's all I ask.
There's a post in the nest that I hope everyone, not just because it's my post, it's actually posts from other people. So I'm taking and promoting other people's work. There's a post that has a comprehensive list of everybody from citizens all the way down, or all the way up to the governor of Hawaii. I want you to listen to their own voices on this. So this has nothing to do with me. Just listen to them. If you listen to them, maybe you'll get some of the truth out of it.
Al, you got about 1 minute, buddy.
All right, so I'm gonna go really fast, gang. For one thing, I think you're really rude. Okay, people raise their fucking hand in this room so that they can speak, and you talk all over everybody, and you never raise your goddamn hand. I'm surprised Hap has not come in here and actually read the rules to you of the decorum for spaces. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, conspiracy theories, whatever. It's all fucking henny penny shit. The sky is falling, right? Are we supposed to just fucking stay in our house and do absolutely nothing? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. You have a guy, Chad, right, who has a BS degree in fire, and he's telling you the facts. Yet you don't seem to listen to anything that he's saying. And all that people are saying is don't put shit out there if you don't know the truth. Because the bottom line is it's a tragedy, right? You have a hurricane mixed with down power lines, winds in excess force. I live in Florida. I've been through all kinds of hurricanes, and there's no conspiracy theory to that, okay? Hurricanes will absolutely destroy everything and everyone that you know. They will split houses in half. They will uproot the pools from the ground. I mean, that's just the facts. And I will land my plane on that. Anybody who's lived in Hawaii, like I did for 3 years, is feeling the misery that these people are going through, because Hawaii is beautiful, beautiful. It's the motherland. And Maui is a huge tourist trap. And if you look at the area that was destroyed, it's the tourist area. And they are going to lose billions of dollars because people will not be able to visit. Have a great day.
Thanks, Al.
Close us out, game.
Great space, Punchbowl. I didn't raise my hand for that. I'm sorry. Great space. Thanks for letting me chime in and interrupt you guys. I'm sorry that I took and ruined your Black Panther party, but I apologize for that. But I am passionate about the truth. I ask questions because I say let me just say this. I say the crazy things so you don't have to. And I allow people to at least look at what the government has done in the past. They're going to continue to do this until we stop it. Our government has poisoned people. Our government has used us as lab rats with this vaccine. Our government is trying to take every single tragedy that happens and use it to their own advantage. That's all I'm saying. I'm using what I'm reporting on what other people are stating. And then I ask questions. If those questions take and stir up the pot a little bit, then so be it. I'm doing my job. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing it that way. Well, I gather a lot more attention doing it this way than just to say, hey guys, the government's killing us.
Yeah, and
Well,
game, McDonald's sells a lot of hamburgers by feeding people death. So like don't use that as an example. And like I don't know what a Black Panther party is, but the fucking town square lets you talk all you want, and I don't know why you would shit on it in the last minute of the show. Like Al had made a good
I'm
point. You
not
couldn't just
shitting
like
on anybody, guys.
game like you constantly you stepped up and like I don't know what a Black Panther party means. I don't know what that means. We're having a discussion, and I feel like you
It
shit
was
on
a
everyone.
joke. It was a joke
Yeah,
based on
I know,
Forrest
but come
Gump.
on, just
Calm
be
down.
better.
It's time to go, guys. Let's end it.
Hey, like I said, James R. had a lengthy Maui space. It is recorded. Go up there, you'll hear a handful of speculation, and then he's just trying to identify and point out buildings are built in the 1800s. I mean, it's just there's so many small details that will help you sit back and analyze this. And there's still more news to come. So much more information. So, and the way the spaces are going, you're probably going to hear several more Maui spaces probably until there is more news. So, anyways, this is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 11. Go to the punchbowlspace.com. There's merch in there. We do have a Discord. Those are in our profiles. Follow the Punch, follow the Jeffs, the Bishops, follow everyone that's been speaking. Follow your neighbor next to you. So when the actual space or there's a hot space going on, that if you want to share it, they'll see it. So, anyways, everybody have a good Tuesday. On tap, what do you got?
The Punchbowl dot space. The Punchbowl dot space. The Punchbowl dot space. Do not go to the punchbowl.com. Go to the Punchbowl dot space.
And Chad, answer your DM. I really would like to know what you think about that.